played Atari today.
Greetings everyone, it's Adam at Irata Non Grata, and I recently took advantage of the Steam Summer Sale to grab a few games that were cheap, and here is Star Raiders from 2011 by Atari, which was released for the, not just the PC, but also the Xbox 360. Now, I recall back in the day hearing that this game wasn't very good. Now, I'm a pretty big fan of Star Raiders, and I've even had a video on my channel where I said it might be the greatest Atari game ever made. But this one is not, definitely not. It did at least try to have a story line to it that was very different from the storyline in the original. Thanks to the Atari 2600 version, you had a story about Commander Champion and the Atari Force discovering this buried, long-lost super weapon starfighter, and they used a memory crystal to see what the Xylons had done in wiping out an entire race, and Commander Champion gets the revenge bug and he wants to go after him. But this one, as you can see here, it has like a whole cast, kind of like I guess old school Star Trek, where you had a whole crew where each person had their different things that they were doing. You still had the Xylons, but from what I played in this, that's the only thing that seems to be tied to the original Star Raiders. Now, I will be upfront in that I only played this for 7 minutes or so, and some of it was sitting on these screens. I was also trying to figure out the controls. I'll skip all that to also I tried to get the controller working, and it just would not work. But I just needed to give that another shot, and so that's what I'm trying to say is my initial impressions are that this sucks, but I will continue to give it more of a chance. I won't just shut it off after the 7 minutes and never touch it again, but at least so far it's not looking super good. Okay, let's get to the gameplay. So as you can see here, instantly this is not at all like the original Star Raiders, which was all a first-person shooter, so to speak. For 2011, the graphics aren't bad. They're not the best that you've ever seen. I do like some of the galaxy backgrounds and everything. But sometimes I think space games overdo it with too much dust in the area. I understand why they do that, to give it more of a look, but it's like you need maybe a little bit more stars. But as you might have noticed here, the controls on this are just terrible. Since I could only use the keyboard and the mouse, like just the way that they're set up is really, really strange. And it's just like, did nobody test this? Or did whoever they had testing it just not know how to play video games and thought it was okay? I just don't get it. As I've played a few space games out there, and not just stuff like No Man's Sky. I've played some obscure ones like, what was it, Space Interceptor and Freelancer, and there's one on the Switch whose name is escaping me right now. Actually, I got a couple off the Switch that were kind of in this vein of these not necessarily AAA space shooter games, but maybe like B-grade space shooter games, which I have a little bit of a soft spot for, which is driven in part from the original Star Raiders, which got me into playing space-type action games back in the day. But again, I had to consult the controls here to try and figure out what was going on. But again, just the mouse was too sensitive. I should have turned that down a little bit because that determines where you're moving. But I don't know. It's just all around not great. So as you can see from the few missions that I tried here, you just have these things to attack. This particular one, you're attacking a Xylon frigate or something, but it doesn't shoot at you at all, so there's no danger. I mean, I suppose this is just the tutorial and trying to teach you how things work, but it's like Star Raiders wasn't any of this. It wasn't sitting around. Your ship was, I mean, yes, you could make it stop, but like it was like the rolling start from Daytona, USA. When you started Star Raiders, you were already going. You want to pull up the galactic map, find the Xylons, warp to their sector, and take them out. And when you needed to, warp to a star base to repair any damage, replenish your energy, stuff like that. And of course, the fewer times you could go to the star base, the better. But again, this doesn't have any of those elements except for there is this recharge place, and this particular mission is to teach you to go do the recharge. But without a galactic map or anything, it's just strange where the decisions that they made here, where they just took like 2 or 3 elements from Star Raiders, again, from what I've seen so far, and applied that to just a generic space game that maybe some other game was in development, and when they got a hold of Atari, it's like, well, we got this IP, why don't you slap that on it? And that's when they decided to do that. And so here's the recharge. But again, it just doesn't have the same feel as Star Raiders, because the original Star Raiders, I should say, it really immersed you into the action. I remember as a kid feeling like I was a starship commander or a starfighter commander, and trying to manage your systems and things like that. And just this has none of that spirit, none of that energy. Again, it just feels very generic. But again, I will give it more of a try and we'll see how it goes. But so far, thumbs down.